We are back with another live stream, folks. Class is in session. Most of week 13 is done. I believe the Eagles 49ers game is just about wrapping up, so it's time for us to sit back, or you to sit back, while I kind of dive into this and we go into the different usage scenarios going on in each of these matchups that have gone on so far. Obviously, the two exceptions will be the Packers and Chiefs game going on tonight in primetime, and then the Jags and Bengals going on tomorrow. That second one's not going to be too fun, at least when talking about the Bengals, because obviously Mr. Joe Burrow is out. So the ceiling of those weapons, not the best. But make sure you check out our merchandise. There's a link to our Armchair Fantasy Football store in the description below, along with a link to our Discord. That one's free. So if you want rapid answers from me, if you want start-sit questions to be answered right away, if you want to go into a trade now chat and throw your scenarios in, I believe there's about 10 of us in there now, we will all give you feedback. I did get a comment from the live stream this morning that the Discord chat link was expired. I renewed that. So if you go in the description right now, it's free. Join. I believe there's also, what else do we have? We have a research tab where I will just randomly throw some numbers at you that hopefully have something to do with your situation. If you want to request numbers about your situation, about a certain team you have, about a certain team that you're wondering about, like the Bengals or the Texans or the Browns, whatever, I will go ahead and do that for you as well. And then we have a Dynasty tab coming up at the Discord. So again, make sure you join that if you want to have a better experience with this channel. Now, let's jump from matchup to matchup and look at what went down today. Full breakdown begins right now. And as always, right? As always, if you have any questions, please, please, please drop them in here. This is also a playoff blueprint episode. So we're going to try and help you plan for weeks 14, 15, 16, 17, even 18. If it comes to that, I will throw your messages up on the screen here. Hope all of you either clinched or maybe grabbed a certain spot in the playoffs or are still in the hunt, depending on your situation. Hoping for the best of luck to all of you. All right, chats are up there. I don't know why I was saying that. All right, so we will start with... We'll go to the Denver game. All right, so Denver going up against Houston. We look and see that with Russ, not the best day, right? We talked about somebody who had an easier remaining schedule than most, actually one of the easiest remaining schedules. He's up there with Joshua Dobbs. 3 picks, not optimal. We have seen more rushing upside from Russ, and we saw even more of that today. 10 rushes for 44 yards, very promising. The touchdown as well really saved his day. So we got 10.4 points strictly from his production on the ground. Another 8 through the air, 22, and then he drops back down to 16. Honestly, fantasy-wise, not horrible. If he didn't have so many frickin' turnovers, he would have been one of the best quarterbacks of this week. We look at the usage situation in the backfield. It's still Javonte Williams, followed by Jaleel McLaughlin, and they mix it up with Marvin Mims Jr. on one of those. And then we look at the receiving, and things get a little interesting. This team really didn't throw the ball a whole lot, especially for a team that was operating from behind for the majority of the matchup. Courtland Sutton, 2 receptions for 77 yards and a touchdown on 7 targets. I mean, him and Russ just weren't really on the same page today from what I could tell. Jerry Jeudy, 3 receptions for 51 yards on 4 targets. Okay. Javonte Williams seeing more of a pass-catching upside role. And we've kind of hinted at that the last few weeks. And then we have Lil Jordan Humphrey hauling in 1. Adam Troutman hauling in 1. Samaje Perine, right? So, we've got those things going on. But for the most part, Courtland Sutton, the touchdown streak kind of continues. He's just missed 1 week in the last 2 months now for that. So that's something to be kind of excited about. Jerry Jeudy, we're still not seeing a big enough piece of that pie. We go 26 passing attempts, 4 targets. Not quite 20% target share, and that's really above average for him. He's just not too involved. Javonte Williams, if you're in a pinch, I guess he had an okay day today, right at 10 points in a standard PPR format. But for the most part, we're not too excited about that. All right, so now we move on. Houston, the other end of this. CJ Stroud, once again, great day. Nothing to really complain about. Another touchdown would have been nice with the passing volume through the air, considering he only threw the ball 27 times. Yeah, 10.1 yards per attempt is elite company. He once again took care of the ball. Not too much rushing upside for Stroud. We kind of knew that in terms of his draft profile coming outside of Ohio State. Now we look at how he spread the ball around. And this is one I really want to focus on, right? Because maybe, just maybe, we got a bit of an answer here. So Tank Dell, game time decision, actually ends up being out. I saw so many reports leaning towards him playing, so I hope you folks saw that. Tank Dell out. Noah Brown, game time decision, ended up being in. And then Dalton Schultz out. So what we learned, and again, CJ Stroud could spread the ball around a lot. We learned who his security blanket was today, and we kind of already knew it. Nico Collins, nearly at the 1,000-yard mark in receiving for the season. He balled out. I mean, holy cow. 12 targets on the 27 pass attempts. Jada said, I hate my life. I'm assuming you're responding to the Eagles game. Yeah. What we also learned was Noah Brown, who went on a tear a few weeks ago before getting injured, maybe isn't as a reliable option, as much of a reliable option as we thought he could have been. Noah Brown went on a tear for a couple of weeks. He comes back. And in my opinion, he had every opportunity to excel, at least as the secondary option to Nico Collins. Again, Dalton Schultz, down. Tank Dell, down. CJ Stroud, one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now, especially when you look at just passing yards per game and being able to spread the ball around. And Noah Brown had one target. He was in line with Devin Singletary. Now, Nico Collins, on the other hand, again, we've got a lot of confidence in him. That's why he's, the freaking thumbnail today. Lots of confidence in him, but I really thought this would have been a chance for Noah Brown to step up as that secondary option or as a more reliable option with the starting tight end and Dalton Schultz, who was getting a lot of looks being down. With, again, Tank Dell being so far the wide receiver 2 behind Nico Collins being down, but he wasn't. It was Brevin Jordan. It was a lot of different people in front of Noah Brown. So that's kind of my takeaways there for the most part. Dameon Pierce getting more usage despite the fact that Devin Singletary was far more efficient. And Pierce got a touchdown as well. Again, Pierce, not really a PPR threat. He doesn't get very involved. Not that Singletary was either. He had just one target for one catch. But yeah, that's where we're at on that. We go over to New York. Yikes. Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, there's talks out there, MA football guys saying Cleveland D is the biggest letdown for me. They shocked me. I mean, yeah, to get lit up like that by the Rams. The passing defense has been phenomenal. Again, coming into the matchup, allowing 140 passing yards a game. We'll go over that a little bit. But, yeah, that kind of shocked me as well. We look at the New York situation. So people are saying, Zach Wilson's horrible. And I agree, right? So then maybe Tim Boyle's better. Tim Boyle looks pretty shaky. Maybe Trevor Siemian's better. I think people are starting to understand, and the Jets are starting to understand, the depth chart is the depth chart for a reason. You're only going to get so many crazy stories where somebody comes from the depths as a third stringer, and, you're only going to get so many Brock Purdy's out there. They're screwed. Threw a tweet out there on my X account, and I said, Gardner Minshew is the perfect fit for this team. He's 12-19 in his career because he's been in pretty inoptimal scenarios. We go back to 2020. He's with a Jacksonville team that ended up getting the number 1 overall pick the following year and was pretty much shooting for it towards the end of the year. They go out and get Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, Gardner Minshew's canned. And ever since then, he's kind of just competing with quarterbacks that either a team spent more draft capital on or is just more financially invested in, right? We go over to the Philadelphia. It's Jalen Hurts' team. He's out for a game. Minshew gets a chance, looks okay against the Cowboys, and then boom. It's back to Backupville. Now he comes over to Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson, lottery pick, well, not lottery pick, but, a top pick in the draft. Yeah, we know the answer is going to be AR-15 after this. But here we have a Jets team that is relying on hope that a 40-year-old quarterback, who will be in the Hall of Fame one day, is going to come back and save them. Not this season. They're 4-8. Their season's done. But possibly next year, and maybe we'll have a one-year tryout. We have somebody in Gardner Minshew who is yet to get a real legitimate shot. Again, 12-19 with the cards he's been dealt, not the best. We're talking about a Jets team with their caliber of defense, with their caliber of personnel on offense, despite, the spread looking pretty bad today in terms of the box score. Breece Hall is a phenomenal talent in the backfield. Garrett Wilson, in my opinion, is top 10 out wide if he actually has a somewhat serviceable quarterback. And the rest is kind of, Xavier Gibson had a nice day today. But Gardner Minshew to the Jets makes way too much sense for me. You've got somebody who's starving for a fair opportunity, and you have a team that's starving for a quarterback to get them to 9 or 10 or 11 wins. The Colts are 7-5 right now. That's my 2 cents there. Anyway, Breece Hall not efficient at all, but he still got the usage that we were expecting. 19 touches. And again, you're probably not too mad at the result because he did still get you double-digit points. Sure, with everything going on, and them not having A-Rod, it's not going to be great. And with the fact that he had 19 touches, you're hoping for more production. But in general, we can't be too mad at a double-digit performance. Dalvin Cook randomly being used more, and he looked, I guess, better than Breece Hall. Still didn't look crazy, didn't jump off the page. Yeah. MA football guy saying A-Rod is not going to save the Jets, in my honest opinion. Yeah, I don't think he will either. I mean, he could bring them to an 8-9, 9-8, maybe 10-7 team. But fantasy-wise, he could seriously elevate not only the performances of Garrett Wilson and maybe like Tyler Conklin, but I really think Breece Hall's in there as well, because all of a sudden, teams aren't expecting you to run the ball a ton, right? There's more of a threat in the pass. Play action builds up more. We go to the other end with Atlanta. Not much better. This is a 13-8 ball game. Desmond Ridder is now back in the driver's seat over Taylor Heineke. This is one of the most run-heavy teams in the league. Again, they were the second most run-heavy team in the league last year. I know that because my Chicago Bears ran the ball more than them. It was a 60-40 split for the Bears. Yeah, 34 rushes to 27 passing attempts. They kind of just bled this game out and made sure they got out and stole it, and now the Falcons are oddly enough 6-6. Bijan getting a decent amount of touches on the ground and through the air. I mean, 21's actually phenomenal. I don't know what I'm talking about, decent. Good fantasy day, I guess. He just passed up 10 points. Kyle Pitts is starting to take over as that primary weapon. Drake London, non-existent. I mean, 5 targets for 1 catch. He and Desmond Ridder can knock it on the same page. And the Jonnu Smith hype train has died. It's a good run. Lasted about 2 months. We go to Miami against Washington. Nothing crazy different here. High-flying offense. There's Mike White, who could have been a serviceable backup, but the Jets let him go, and he wasn't that expensive either. Yeah, Tua, ball's out. Devon Achane is back, getting his usage, coming down to earth. He was averaging north of 10 yards per carry before this game. I think he's down to like 7 or 8 now. But Raheem Mostert also getting in the end zone once. This team actually relied a lot more on the run, but that's just because of the fact that they blew the Commanders out. Tyreek Hill, as per usual, up there in yards. Waddle actually out-targeted him, but this is the same kind of relationship we've seen before. Hill is your down-the-field threat. Waddle, more checkdowns at the moment. We saw that his rookie year. Last year, he broke free for a greater amount of plays, but in general, you're not going to see Jalen Waddle go for a lot of deep passes. Your vertical threat on this team has been, and always will be Tyreek Hill. Nothing too notable beyond that. We go to the other end with the most pass-heavy offense in the entire league. In the Commanders, they don't look great. Sam Howell, I told somebody to start him over Trevor Lawrence, and I don't regret that because if we look at the production on the ground, he had 2 touchdowns. So 14 fantasy points for his production on the ground alone. And he ended up getting around 17 in total when you look at what he did through the pass. So not really going to back down on that claim. It's still a high throwing volume offense. He only threw the ball 23 times today. The Commanders just never really had the ball. Again, the Dolphins also kind of bled this one out. Curtis Samuel, I'd say he's the most consistent on this team right now. Terry McLaurin, yikes. 3 targets for no receptions. Logan Thomas, 8 weeks in, there were 4 players on this team with at least 40 targets. Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas, and Jahan Dotson. Now it's really looking like Curtis Samuel and occasionally Jahan Dotson will come out. Antonio Gibson's secretly one of the best pass catching backs in the entire league when you just look at how consistent he's been. He sneakily snuck over 10 points today. And Brian Robinson Jr. with an efficient day on the ground. Again, something we knocked him for earlier on in the year. He got hurt, so we'll see if he's all right. We go to Pittsburgh and Arizona, a game that was delayed a few times due to weather. Crazy winds, crazy rain, the whole 9 yards. So we would expect a more run-heavy game script, to say the very least. And we got it. We also got it because Kenny Pickett was out after, honestly, one of his better starts of the year. 7 for 10, 70 yards, was throwing the ball down the field a little bit more. Najee Harris still beating out Jaylen Warren in touches. I don't really understand it. Some scenarios you have a complimentary back like an A.J. Dillon to an Aaron Jones, where one guy's more of that bruiser. Warren is still well north of 200 pounds. I don't really get why Najee Harris gets 16 targets and Warren gets 9. Not fully understanding that one. Yeah, that's about all I have for that. Warren, not as involved as a pass catcher as we're accustomed to seeing. He was one of the leading receivers on this team a couple of weeks ago, and that's kind of dropped off. Deontay Johnson starting to vacuum in more targets. George Pickens. Again, we had a mid-game change at quarterback, so we can only take so much away from this. We go to Arizona's side. Kyler, again, looking pretty dynamic for the most part, at least when we look at the potential, right? 9 rushes, 20 yards is not optimal. James Conner really stole this game, and Arizona won it. Again, very ugly weather as well. Bryce Ridley says, hey, boss man, I got some questions. What's up, Bryce? Let me know. James Conner looking, honestly, this Arizona team, I know they're 3-10. They could have been a decent team this year. If James Conner was healthy, if Kyler Murray was healthy, if Zach Ertz didn't go down and then leave, I really do think this team could have scraped across like 7 or 8 wins. Even in the West, which doesn't look as good anymore. So that's kind of my take there. I don't know. We'll put you guys back up here. But in general, James Conner, 25 touches, all on the ground, a couple targets. The thing I really want to focus on here is something we've seen that I didn't expect since Kyler Murray has come back. Trey McBride is the main target here. 9 targets to, the college teammate of Kyler Murray over at Oklahoma, and Marquise Brown only having 3. He hauled in none. Rondale Moore got poached, got robbed of a touchdown on a penalty. There was a holding penalty like 20 yards in front of him. Not really anybody else I feel very confident about. Kyler's fine, especially with the rushing upside. James Conner with the sheer volume is fine. I don't know, I'm yawning. Trey McBride has been one of the best tight ends in the league the last few weeks. And Marquise Brown, I'm very, very unsure about. I'm getting ready for playoffs and considering moving on from Thielen. I don't blame you because it looks like the Panthers, for whatever reason, have thrown in the towel. They're running the ball a little bit more. We're seeing a lot of Chuba Hubbard. We're seeing a lot of checkdowns. We're seeing more Jonathan Mingo. Adam Thielen had one of the most magical stretches the first 2 weeks. I'd be fine with that. Bryce, is your trade deadline come and gone, or are you just going to straight up drop him? That's something I'm curious about. So let me know there. Tennessee. Will Levis and DeAndre Hopkins not really on the same page. Nip and tuck in one league. Pretty solid in the other 4. Happy I found you, Core. Yeah, happy you found me too, man. Good to see you're doing well across all your leagues. That's very impressive. Waiver has Brandon Cooks, Jonathan Mingo, Devontae Parker, and Quentin Johnston. We're not going to mess with Quentin Johnston. I know there is a lot of availability right now across the Chargers offense because Mike Williams is down, because Joshua Palmer's down, because Gerald Everett's been bruised up, Austin Eckler hasn't looked like himself. Quentin Johnston has major drop issues. Brandon Cooks, the wide receiver 2 on a high-flying offense who's been more and more involved, a.k.a. look back at Thursday. I'd be okay with something like that. Mingo, not a big enough, consistent enough role. Same thing with Devontae Parker. I would pick up Chuba in favor of Thielen. Yeah, I would do that. But Bryce, out of that pool, I'm going with Brandon Cooks. We're seeing more consistent usage over the course of the last few weeks. Mingo, it's a very small sample size and spotty. Devontae Parker, same with him, spotty. Quentin Johnston. He's had every opportunity to excel, and he just hasn't. All right, he's just not supposed to be the wide receiver 2 on a team, at least at this point. Again, we look over at Tennessee. That crazy game against the Colts. Derrick Henry and Tyjae Spears looking like a sustainable duo. This team going back to their roots, leaning more on the run. Will Levis and DeAndre Hopkins not really getting on the same page, and that's not only reflected by the video clip of those two screaming at each other, but Hopkins 5 receptions on 12 targets, a pretty poor reception percentage. Chigo Okonkwo, about the only other one worth noting here. And then, the backfield. Tyjae Spears, I do believe he's the future. Even as somebody taking a back seat to Derrick Henry, and by the way, there was a stretch of about 3 or 4 weeks in a row where he had more snaps than Henry. We still have somebody in Tyjae Spears who had 12.8 points in fantasy standard PPR. Henry had a monster day, but nonetheless. I could. My running backs are Brian Robinson, Aaron Jones, Monty, and Kenneth Walker. Yeah. If you've got Chuba, do that. If you've got Chuba available, do that. Otherwise, Brandon Cooks, definitely, out of the 4 that you mentioned to me. And we wrap up with Indianapolis. This is going to be the Jets quarterback in 2025. Fully believe it. That doesn't really mean much for fantasy. It's just a belief that I have. Zach Moss, plenty of usage on the ground, obviously, with the news of Jonathan Taylor coming out pretty recently. He'll be out 3 to 5 weeks, a.k.a. probably for the rest of your fantasy season, which sucks. Good usage for Moss, not nearly the efficiency we were looking for. Michael Pittman Jr. has been a monster, red zone target monster, and just overall monster considering his whole career he's been like filing through quarterbacks like crazy. All right, Alec Pierce, a name I really haven't said in a while. Yeah, 6 targets is fun. A big 55-yard play is fun. That's not somebody I'd lean on too much unless they're in a deeper league and need some trade leverage. Kylan Granson, I guess. A big play in there, and then Josh Downs, a big letdown. Huge letdown from Josh Downs today. 5 targets on 42 attempts. Not the best. No down the field looks. Pretty disappointed in that one. Had to drop Madison because Schultz was hurt. Started Logan Thomas. Got Hawkins to 2. Bryce, you're loaded, man. Especially at the tight end position. I had Schultz because Goddard got hurt. Now they're both hurt. So Bryce, my other wide receiver on my Thielen team is Nico Collins. I don't know if Collins is going to be available. But you could trade for him. His value will be very high, but you could trade for him. Oh. Let's go here. But yeah, if you guys have any questions after the games we've had so far in Week 13, just let me know. That was kind of my review of the usage situations going on and overall, really, the breakouts and disappointments. Again, Josh Downs, a huge disappointment this week. But we live and we learn. Just getting a screen up here for you. Bryce saying, I think I'm going to try and trade Dak. I've got Mahomes as well. Bryce, what is your record? And what's your league format? I'm just curious. You've got a lot of leverage there, my friend, with all that talent. Derek Carr, questionable. Yeah, he played questionable for some of today and then kind of recovered down the stretch. Doubtful to return. Shoulder, back, and a concussion? Holy crap. I watched the beginning of this game, but didn't see that. Okay. Well, Taysom Hill could be a very enticing pickup if he's going to be in there all the time and they have so many designed runs for him. I would recommend Taysom Hill in general, regardless of what we've seen from Juwan Johnson. That is nuts. 3 injuries in 1. Yeah, this is just an exciting pickup. And if we look at Taysom Hill, I always find it very interesting. He just heats up at the back half of the year. There he goes. Quiet, quiet. There he goes. It feels like this Saints team really just starts throwing everything in the kitchen sink with Taysom Hill at the wall and hoping it sticks because they don't have a definitive answer on offense. Then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we have 4 weeks left and we have to run the table to make it. And he gets more usage. Yeah, this is crazy. Nothing really here. And I don't think there's anything here either. Yeah. But for the most part, more usage for Hill down the stretch. And we've kind of hit that time of year again where he's getting just that. Nico Collins, again, this guy's got to be a Pro Bowler. I mean, I'd say he's a top 15 wide receiver, no doubt now. Back-to-back phenomenal performances. High catch percentage. Capitalizing on a huge opportunity, again, with Noah Brown coming in kind of bruised up. Tank Dell not playing. Dalton Schultz being out. This team pretty bruised up in their receiving core right now, and now their number one is prevailing. 991 receiving yards. He's now up to 6 touchdowns. These totals have not updated yet. I mean, what else can you say? The guy is going to surpass his totals from his 2 years combined. First 2 years combined. 8-5 is the record. 10-man league. PPR. 1 quarterback. 2 running backs. 1 tight end. 1 flex. 2 wide receivers as well. Yeah, so pretty standard setup. Good stuff, man. Here's where we're at right now in Coreyville. Did my opponent not set there? Oh, he's eliminated, so that's why. I got a bit of a break, but I'm the second highest scorer in this league, and I came in 7-5 and have the greatest amount of max points. So we're going to playoff land, baby. We're right here. If this guy above me loses, Dustin, which he's projected to fall to a 2-10 team, I will go up and grab the 4 spot, which would be pretty sweet. This is the hypothetical playoff scenario. I want to be here. I want week 15 off. That would be awesome. Yeah. So that's where we're at. 8-5. Can't be mad at it. Yeah, what other questions do you folks have? I mean, going into week 14, let me know what your records are. Playoff scenarios. Are you in it? Are you in the hunt? Did you clinch? Do you have a bye? Let me know and we'll answer here. We've got a few more minutes before the Sunday night football game between the Chiefs and Packers kicks off. I will probably jump off then, watch some more of that. But let me know what questions you've got. So yeah, huge day at the office from Nico Collins. Christian McCaffrey going absolutely ballistic. Austin Eckler not doing much in a 6-0 ball game. I don't even know what to say about that. I really don't. Kamara had a huge day. This is somebody who's just a guarantee as a pass catching back. On target, or on pace again, to be around 100 targets. More in the vicinity of what we saw in 2020. There's a lot to like here. No questions, but I killed it this week. Good to hear, Anime. Good to hear. MA Football Guy says, I'm 8-4, about to go 9-4 in one league. The leader's likely going to be 9-4 after this week. What's the tiebreaker? Total points, head-to-head. Let me know. Here's where we're at here. Where is the standings with all the information? I'm thinking about Juwan Johnson. I'm not going to need him because Goddard should be back soon and Schultz should be back soon, both of which I have, and both of which have been out. But Stafford being on waivers is interesting as well. This is a banged-up team, by the way. Look at this. Williams, IR. That's not even the worst of it. My 2 tight ends, IR. Jefferson, IR. Noah Brown's been out. I've had Josh Allen, Darrell Henderson, James Cook, and Gus Edwards all on bye. Taysom Hill's not the most consistent. Cooper goes down. ETN's questionable. Johnson was out for a few weeks. The list goes on and on. Just got Kyron back. It's honestly a miracle that we have the record we do. I'm in awe. I am in pure awe. Oh, yeah, there's points for him. Yeah, so this is the crap I hate, man. 10-2 and has all of 70 points more than me. And I'm 3 games behind. I'll make it. I just clinched, but still. Could have been a better year in the regular season. Really want that bye, though, so Tom, if you're watching, I'm rooting for you. Take down that 2 seed for me. Really interesting league. Not sure how to determine, how they determine tiebreakers. Yeah, everyone's different. Total points scored is usually what I've seen. Some leagues will do head-to-head, but then if you're 1-1, you revert to total points scored. It kind of goes from source to source, but no. Again, folks, make sure we've got that Discord link in the description right now. Absolutely free. You can ask me your start-sit questions. You can ask me your trade questions. You can ask me just about everything. We're going to start a Dynasty tab as well. I do little research reports once every few days. Highly, highly, highly recommend. I can actually show you what it looks like here again. Link in description for that. That's how you're going to get a more interactive experience here. And especially if you play Dynasty, sure, I'll be cranking out videos and going live as much as I can Maybe we will try some best ball drafts. But highly, highly, highly recommend joining this. We've got general. We've got your start sits. We've got your trades. I know your deadline's probably gone, but if you don't have a deadline or you're in Dynasty, this gets interesting, especially with picks and valuation like that. Announcements, so you will know when I'm going to go live before I even throw the posting up there, really. And then, or right when I do. And then you'll get little research blurbs from me here and there. So, easiest remaining schedules. Levis did okay. Wilson did okay. Dobbs off this week. Eckler, no. Pacheco, about to play. Off. Great. Shut out again. And Keenan Allen's been great. Laporta is just going to be a generational talent at tight end. To be a rookie and be on pace for north of 800 receiving yards, to get another touchdown today, to have that much of a role in an offense when you just started in the NFL is pretty crazy. I'd say the same thing about the step forward that Jake Ferguson has taken, Dalton Kincaid as well. So all rising stars who have pretty favorable schedules, I would say. Currently in the 4 seed. Well, good luck to you, man. I think I'm going to end it here. Again, jump into the Discord. Link is in the description below. Absolutely free. Tabs for all of your fantasy football concerns, questions, anything like that. But we'll jump off. If you've got any other questions, you can also throw questions in the comment section here once this video archives, or any other video. Go on the community tab. You can do that as well. But we will jump off. Good luck to all of you here for the rest of week 13, and we will see you in the next live stream.